OMV-Petrom raportează pierderi trimestriale pentru prima dată în ultimii 6 ani, în trimestrul al treilea din 2020, de la un profit de aproape 800 de milioane de lei acum un an, pe fondul unor încasări mai mici cu 26%. Pe primele 9 luni, compania rămâne pe profit, dar acesta este mai mic cu 70%. Am discutat astăzi cu Christina Verchere, CEO-ul celei mai mari companii petroliere de la noi. E una dintre acele oportunități în care putem să aruncăm o privire în spatele a ceea ce s-a întâmplat în ultima perioadă pentru una dintre cele mai importante companii din România, companie listată pe bursa de la București. E vorba de OMV-Petrom, care astăzi raportează rezultatele pentru trimestrul 3, dar spun că este o bună oportunitate să ne uităm peste ce s-a întâmplat de-a lungul acestui an, un an încărcat, un an încercat de această pandemie de coronavirus, și vrem să vedem cum anume a afectat această companie, spre ce se uită, care au fost rezultatele și, sigur, cum s-a adaptat acestor vremuri. De aceea, alături de mine astăzi va fi Christina Verchere, este directorul companiei OMV-Petrom, într-una dintre rarele apariții. Christina, thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the program. Thank you for this interview.
Thank you, Kathleen, and pleasure to join you.
I was saying to our viewers that today is a good opportunity to look behind the scenes of the company's performance for the last 3 months, but also for the whole year. Looking at the results of the last 3 months, Christina, but especially in the overall picture of the last 9 months, how does the evolution of the company in the full pandemic looks like?
Well, there's no doubt it's been a very challenging time for all of us across society overall, but for companies as well. And, you know, our big focus has really been to make sure that the country has the energy supply that it needs. That's our role in society, is to make sure that the energy is there for the hospitals, for the schools, for the homes, for the businesses. And I'm very proud to be able to say that we've been able to ensure energy supply with no interruptions. And just a big thank you to the team, because many people out there to make that happen overall. If you look at the numbers, and I'll work on sort of a year to date, the first 9 months of the year, overall the operating result is down 47%, so almost 50% to 1.8 billion lei. Our state contribution, because obviously we're a big contributor to the state with the taxes and excises that we pay, this is at 7.2 billion lei, which is down 20%. And I mention this because I think OMV-Petrom is one of the larger companies in the country and is part of the economic fabric of Romania. So maybe when I look at the performance, maybe I'll look at it 2 ways. I'll look at it by quarter, so we look at how things have happened over the course of the 9 months, and then maybe demand, because I think demand for fuels can also be an indication of economics and economic recovery. So if I look at it by quarter, the first quarter was actually a strong start to the year. Good demand and good performance in January and February. And then in March, we started to see the implications of coronavirus coming into Europe. We had also already started to see implications of coronavirus on oil price as well. But otherwise, overall, the first quarter was relatively strong. The second quarter was by far the toughest quarter, with the lockdown measures in place across Romania, and particularly in April and part of May, we saw a big drop in demand, 45% drop in the retail side. And with that also a very big drop in oil price that was happening at the same time overall. So as an industry, we've dealt with drops in oil price, but a drop in oil price and a drop in the demand at the same time, this was a first for us. And so it was a very challenging quarter for the company. The third quarter, mixed. I think we start to see recovery, and we started to see increase in demand. It is the holiday season, and though many people maybe didn't leave Romania, I think many people drove to be on holiday within Romania. So we do see the benefit of that in the increase in demand for fuels across. But I think it's fair to say that it's unpredictable right now overall. But the third quarter was better than we thought it would be overall. OMV-Petrom is an integrated company, and by that it has exploration production, it has the refinery, it has the power plants, and it also has the filling stations. And this aspect of the value chain actually makes it very resilient in COVID and these volatilities that we've had in price and demand levels. If I turn to demand now, I break it down into 3. Now let's look at retail. Retail is the general public. And I think what we saw here, obviously, as we said, a big drop in April, and then recovery as people started to be able to move around the country again. Overall, year to date, down 5 to 6% compared to last year. If you then look at the commercial sector, so this is our big customers in terms of the industrial sector, construction sector, and sort of the heavy vehicles moving goods and products around, actually this has stayed relatively robust and actually is up over 10% versus last year. And the third sector to look at would be aviation fuel, jet fuel, hit by far the hardest, down 50%, and we anticipate it being that way. So maybe that just gives you a little indication of the different demand trends that we see depending on the sectors, which give an indication maybe of how recovery is looking in the country.
Looking at the company, how plans change due to the pandemic, and what was, if there was any, the most difficult decision that you had to make?
So there's, as I said, it's been quite a demanding period, I think, for all businesses, all of society. We approach this in a very sort of systematic way, as big companies tend to do things. We activated our crisis management team, and we had 3 priorities. The first priority is the health and well-being of our employees, our workforce, and our customers. The second, actually, which I mentioned earlier, is energy supply. We need to make sure that the country has the energy that it needs. And the third is the financial health of the firm. So if you look at the health and the well-being of our employees and our customers, we put all the measures in place through the regulations that have been set out. We had to change some shift patterns. We are a frontline business. We're a producing business. So we have 8,000 employees out in the front line to make sure the energy supply is there. And we need to make sure that they're kept healthy and well in that. So a lot of changes to people's working schedules, plexiglass put up in the control room, as you can imagine, in Petrobras, masks, made sure we had enough masks, all these aspects to make sure the social distancing was as best as possible while ensuring energy supply. And likewise for our customers in our filling stations as well. The other half of our organization, which is another 6,000 people, working from home. So again, a shout out to the IT department for making that possible to be able to do that. We have about 10 to 15% actually in the office, coming into the office, but I think we're going to actually pull this back a little bit. I think we'll come down to 10% into the office. I think we can do and manage to actually have a lot of people working from home. So health and well-being, energy supply. On the energy supply, I think I mentioned it earlier, no interruptions, but a lot of work by the front line to make sure that's possible. And then the third one, the financial health. We did take interventions. We had to take interventions. We're a big capital investor. We're going to spend about 4.2 billion lei this year. We cut that down to 3. We had to be able to manage it, to make sure we manage the cash flow of the firm overall, and just because of the volatility and the unpredictability of it. But I'm confident that we will spend the 3 billion lei. The toughest question, I don't know if it's the toughest question, but the biggest priority is the health of the workforce and the employees. We call ourselves a family. We're the OMV-Petrom family. We need to make sure that they're well-being for themselves and their families, to underpin energy security and to underpin the well-being of the firm.
You were mentioning the oil price, which is an important element on the economic recovery for the next period. What are the estimates in the company regarding the evolution of the oil price for the next year?
Yeah. So when we started this year, we had built a budget based on $60 oil, and then fairly early on we had to reset that to $40. And I think what we've seen is following sort of OPEC plus sort of dialogues, that the oil price is settled at around the 40 to 45. So, you know, we were forecasting 40, maybe there'll be a little bit of upside, but actually going into next year, we do see economic recovery coming, and therefore we do see a slightly higher oil price in next year. And then recovery, hopefully, by the time we get into 2022 and 2023 timeframe. So overall, that's from an oil price perspective. And again, it's a globally set price, so it very much depends on how the world is doing, not just necessarily how Europe is doing and how Romania is doing, because it's globally set price.
How could the Black Sea gas could contribute to this economic recovery?
Yeah, I think the Black Sea has a really important role to play here. I think it has an important role in many factors, but even more so, I think, given the need for economic recovery across Europe and in Romania. 3 main things that I look at with the development of the Black Sea resource. The first one I would say actually is energy security. Without the development of the Black Sea gas, we see that by 2030, Romania could be importing 30 to 40% of its gas needs. So we see it as vital actually to make sure it underpins the energy security of that. there is also the economic factor. And let's be clear, if you buy your gas from somewhere else, you pay the taxes there, you pay the jobs there. That's what happens when you pay an import. If you can develop your own, it has an economic impact clearly in the country with jobs, as also with the state revenue that gets paid to the government. And the third, and I think this is very important, is its contribution to the climate change agenda. You know, gas is very much part of the energy transition. It will help us to reduce the amount of coal. We'll be able to reduce the fossil fuel impact because gas is the lowest carbon footprint of the fossil fuels. So energy security, economic benefit, and climate change agenda, all in one project.
Great talk. Thank you very much, Christina Verchere, for this interview.
Thank you.